All right, today we get to catch up with Kara Van Horn, class of 2014, I do believe.
Mm-hmm.
And she is an accountant in the Nashville area. So we're so appreciative that you're taking time to do this with us today, Kara. And if you wouldn't mind, we'll just start out with you sharing a little bit about your high school experience.
Yeah, so I graduated in 2014. I was involved with FBLA, student council, on the volleyball team, softball team. Did all the NHS Math Honor Society things. But I was very involved in FBLA my senior year. I had Miss Hudgens every other hour, so that was fun. Took advantage of those business classes. And then yeah, played sports in FBLA and student council. That was the main
You were
thing.
a very busy girl. Like
Yes.
you were always very organized and good with your time.
Well,
Uh,
thank you.
So, that I'm sure plays well now in your profession as well. So, if you wouldn't mind to talk about, walk us through after graduation, kind of your career path to where you are today.
So I went to Murray State in the fall of 2014. I joined a sorority that spring. I was a summer orientation counselor, had multiple jobs. I worked at a lot of yogurt shops. I worked on campus. And then I graduated in December of 2017 with my undergrad. And then in 2018, I did my master's at Murray State and I took the CPA exam. And then I was a grad assistant and I worked at a tobacco farm in the office doing
So that's
accounting.
a lot,
Yes.
a lot of experience with customer service for sure.
Oh,
And
yes.
then go ahead. Do you recommend people go ahead and just get those 30 hours, get the master's done so they can sit for the exam?
Yes. I graduated early because in Kentucky I could sit for the exam while doing my master's, so it was to my advantage to do that. But I know a lot of people that do that. They I think that the trend now is to just immediately get your master's, since you have to have 150 hours anyway. You might as well have that
Mhm.
uh, to fall back on. Or
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So from Murray State, you went to the firm that you're at now, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you go ahead.
Well, I was not planning on going to Nashville, but uh, Jared Arnold actually reached out to me and asked me if I'd be interested in an internship. So in 2018, that summer, I went to the Summer Leadership Day at Craft in Nashville and ended up establishing a relationship with them. And so the original plan was for me to do an internship, but about a month later, I went in for an interview with Audit and they hired me. And so the job just fell into my lap and I decided I was moving to Nashville.
Well, and she's being humble. The job doesn't fall into your lap. You have to have good grades and have done a lot of other things.
Well, yes.
Great that Jared reached out to you. That's networking, and Jared is one of my other alumni that I've interviewed. I haven't shared his yet, but we're getting to him. So that is the beautiful thing of that networking starts even when you're in high school, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah. So you work in audit. So what
Mhm.
is a normal day like for you working in audit?
A normal day, I wouldn't really say there is a normal day because we are put on a job, usually one job a week, and then you're assigned a team. So there's a staff and a senior and a manager and a partner. And so typically the staff and the senior go out to the client and you're each assigned the sections that you're supposed to work on. And so you have a week to get those done. Ideally, that would be finished by the end of the week, but that's not always what happens. Um, so we go to the client a lot, and then we'll have wrap-up weeks in the office, or we do a lot of jobs remotely, especially now that coronavirus has happened. We're
Mhm.
doing all of our jobs remotely, but that's not an uncommon thing to do. And then I also work on a few not-for-profit tax returns, so those would be done from the office. So yeah, there's not really a typical day in the life, but basically each week you're assigned what you're supposed to get done, and then you just have to get it done and use your time wisely.
So for my students that might not really know about auditing, I mean, we talk about a little bit about what auditors do, but they don't always listen to me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the purpose of an audit?
So what I do, we basically go to a client and we audit their cash and their accounts payable and their fixed assets, and basically just do testing over each of those to make sure that whatever they prepare and have on their financial statements is accurate and complete. So each audit looks a little bit different based on the size of the company or the industry that they're in, but that is really what we do.
So are there certain industries that your firm tends to work more in, or do you just have like a really broad range of client types?
I would say we have a very broad range, but most people during busy season, we do a lot of our manufacturing clients and corporations. But then in the summer, usually you take one of three different paths. We have a lot of banking clients, or you work on a lot of 401k audits, which is what I work on a lot. And then we also have, I would say a majority of our clients are probably not for profit. So I work on those two. And then we do 990s a lot. So it's pretty broad.
So all of these companies prepare financial statements. They have needs for them, whether it's for people they want to borrow money from or investors, or if it's a not-for-profit, they're required to do that for governments or for grants they're receiving. And then your company goes in and checks to see that the numbers are as accurate as from what you can tell from it.
Yeah.
And attest to that. All right. So what skills do you think are the big skills to have or important skills to have as an auditor?
Definitely communication skills, because you talk to the clients on the phone, through email, and directly. And I feel like I'm lucky as an auditor to get to meet people, whereas tax is a lot of, it's only the partners and managers who do the actual talking with the clients.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that it's very important to communicate, because a lot of times they don't really know what we're talking about. So you have to communicate it in a manner that makes sense for each person individually. And then also time management, because as you go along, you get assigned more and more things, and people trust you with more things, and you just get more responsibility. So it's important to prioritize what's important with deadlines or who it's coming from, and just know how to get that done efficiently and effectively. And then also, I think it's important to ask questions, because a lot of people, instead of asking questions, they'll just try to figure it out themselves, but that's not always the best thing to do, because that obviously takes more time. And in audit, typically you have one fee. And so even if you spend 100 hours on it or 500 hours, you're still going to make the same amount of money. So you want to spend the least amount of time as possible on something while doing it correctly. So it's important to ask questions when you don't understand things.
I think that's a good one that I don't think it's been brought up before. And I remember you in class, you were always good about asking questions, like, and that's important. But then the communication thing keeps coming up, because you have technical compliance things that you have to worry about, but then you have to explain that to your clients in a way that makes sense to them when they haven't gone through 150 hours of accounting training. So that's very important. And I was talking to another accountant today. I've done 3 interviews and they've all been accountants today, but all different fields, like different.
Really?
Yes. But, we were talking, it came up about auditing. And I remember when I did auditing, it was so important to make your clients feel at ease with you and to have a good rapport. Because if you just go in and start asking a bunch of questions without framing it in a way that doesn't make them nervous, then they're defensive, like, oh, what are they trying to find that I did something wrong? I didn't do anything wrong, or why are they asking that question? So the communication plus having to ask a lot of questions, it's very important that you can do both of those in a way that is, puts you in a good light with your client and they work with you.
Yeah. And I also think it's important in school to utilize the time that you spend writing, because for me, a lot of people, whenever I say that I'm an accountant, they say, oh, you're really good at numbers. And while that is true, you also do a lot of writing and explanations, and it's important to use good grammar and to be able to take what someone's given you and then put it into the format that it needs to be in. Explanations, just documentation and explanations.
And so a lot of your writing has to be concise, I'm sure, like getting to the point, but also if you're doing an email to a client, it might have to be really, really detailed in order to be able to explain it. So you have to do a little bit of both, like cut to the chase, get to the point for your work papers, but do it in a manner that's according to professional standards. But then also the flip side, you're talking to clients in a different manner. Hey, is it Margaret?
Oh, it's my dad.
Oh, hi, Brian.
Let's get in my closet.
So Kara is working remotely as
yes.
She's working remotely.
Benefits of working from home.
Yes. So we were talking about that before we started recording, the fact that you can do a lot of your work remotely, which is really good because it hasn't affected as far as you're working and you're getting to continue to work. So that's good. Accountants, there's always a need for us. We will survive. There's going to be jobs for us.
Right. That's right.
That's something good to know too, right? So what advice would you give to students like that are juniors and seniors in high school that may be thinking about a career path, or even if you were thinking back to when you were a junior or senior in high school, what do you wish you would have known then that you know now?
Well, I would say one of the main things is to stay connected with the people that you graduate with and your teachers, because a lot of the jobs that I've had have been because of the people that I know. When I was in college, I did an internship at Kemper CPA Group, and that was through a connection. I also got the job at the tobacco farm that I worked at because of someone that I went to church with. They knew that they needed accounting help, and someone knew that I was an accounting major. And then I also still communicate with them today. And then also Jared is one of the reasons that I'm at Craft. So I think it's very important to stay connected with those people, because those relationships that you develop can really benefit you later in life. And it's just fun to connect with people every once in a while. And then I also think that it's important to have jobs throughout that time, because it's good to get involved with things as well in college. But whenever you have jobs, you learn the importance of making money and then also having those time management skills to prioritize different things that you have going on.
I think the time management skills are so important because on the one hand, in high school, you have the kids that are like super involved, that are getting to school, at like 7:30 in the morning, and they've got games and practice until 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And that's our jobs, they're working late. And then they transition to college where they might not have the same structure given to them. Like they don't have coaches saying, oh, you have to be here, here, and here. And classes aren't from 8 to 3:15, so some people adapt really well and some people really struggle with managing themselves because they don't have other people imposing these deadlines and things on them.
Yeah.
So I think you're really right. And having a job or things like that while you're in college kind of forces you a little bit more back into some kind of a structured situation. That first semester away, some kids really just don't manage it well.
Yeah, it's hard.
It doesn't always go well. So that is really good advice. I appreciate you taking time to talk with my students today, Kara, and I look forward to just watching you as you continue to advance professionally. Kara and I are friends outside of school. We went to church together. We've been on mission trips together in some really weird situations on those mission trips.
Yes.
And she spent time in my home. She's friends with my kids. And I love her. And I think the world of her on every level. And so other than not liking dogs, and I don't really understand that.
Oh gosh.
Only Nick in her armor I've ever found. So
It's not the first time people. Yeah.
thank you so much, Kara.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you.